Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on studying in Australia. Thank you for joining us. So this evening we have Nicole Chong with us, and she is the Central Manager for AUG in Malaysia. And some of you who've been exploring studying in Australia would have probably heard of AUG. So KTJ has been working with AUG for many years. We were just chatting now. Almost a decade, we think that we've had this relationship going. KTJ is very happy to partner with AUG. We found them to be very reliable, very detailed in the information, the advice that they give our students. So we're very happy to be partnering with them. Delighted that Nicole is with us, and she's going to be giving you some advice on studying in Australia. And we were just talking about COVID and how that affects things now. So I'm sure you guys also have a lot of COVID-related questions. So Nicole's going to do an introduction of studying in Australia. She's going to look at how you apply and then talk a little bit about what AUG does and how they can help you. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and then we'll tackle them at the end. So please type them in there. All right, so over to you, Nicole.
Thanks, Emma. Hello, good evening, everybody. Okay, I guess I need to share my screen right now. Just give me a second. So good evening, teachers, students, and parents. I hope you have a good day today. So I'm glad to be here today to share some information about study in Australia with you. So the highlight for today including introduction to Australia, Australia education and institution, tuition fee and living costs, education pathway, application procedure, and very important, of course, scholarship, and so on. So here we start. So I have a video to share to you right now. So maybe we can just have a look. I believe, a lot of you have been to Australia, and for those who haven't, maybe this will give you an idea how Australia is like.
Life has drawn you here. Feel the warmth pulling you near. Breathe it in and let it fill your heart. It's like love. Cleanse your soul. Feel it in your veins. Breathe it in your lungs will stay. It's like love. For the first time, it all makes sense now. It's like love cleanse your soul. Feel it in your veins. Breathe it in your lungs will stay. It's like love.
Well, there's nothing like Australia, all right? So let us go through some introduction about Australia. Okay, so back to the slides. Okay, so I think Australia is no stranger to any one of you. Australia is a very young and energetic country, always listed as one of the most livable countries in the world. The capital of Australia is Canberra, and the biggest city is Sydney. While there are 6 states and 2 territories in Australia, which including Western Australia, South Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, Queensland, Australia Capital Territory, and also Northern Territory. And Australia is actually quite close to Malaysia. The flying hours between Malaysia and Australia is about 5 to 8 hours. And we do have direct flight to Australia, such as Malaysia Airlines and AirAsia. Okay. Let's have a look about, the weather in Australia. So our weather or season in Australia is different from the Northern Hemisphere. So summer in Australia is from December to February, autumn is March to May, and now, of course, it's the winter in Australia, which is June to August, and spring will be September to November. And the eastern state of Australia, like Australia Capital Territory, New South Wales, Tasmania, and Victoria does observe daylight saving. So from 4th of April this year until 3rd of October 2021, we will turn back the clock by 1 hour, whereas, after 3rd of October until next year, 3rd of April, we will advance the clock by 1 hour. And Western Australia, Queensland, and Northern Territory does not observe daylight saving. So students and parents, you may have questions about why students have to study in Australia. Here is some facts for you to consider. We have more than 20,000 Malaysian students studying in Australia at the moment. Australia education has the international reputation of quality and excellence. And of course, Australia is a multicultural society. Students with a student visa are able to work up to 40 hours per fortnight. What's more, as I mentioned just now, Australia is actually quite close to Malaysia compared to other countries such as UK and US. Our flying distance is only about 5 to 8 hours. And students who completed study in Australia has the opportunity to live and work after the completion of the course as well. And with the recent ranking, there are 7 Australian universities listed in the top 100 universities in the world. Okay, and not sure whether you are aware. In this few days, there's a recently announced the most livable city in the world, 2021. We have 4 Australian cities have listed in the top 10. That includes Adelaide, Perth, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Let's have a look at the Australian qualification framework. Australian institutions offer various courses ranging from pre-university, undergraduate, postgraduate, to vocational study, and many more. Okay, so Australia has 43 universities. Besides university, there are many institutions do provide higher education courses too. Australian institutions provide a wide variety of courses, which includes life sciences, business, social sciences, engineering, health sciences, design, law, and many more. Most of the courses are highly ranked in the world ranking, such as engineering, medicine, environmental science, accounting, and finance. So now I will bring you to have a look at there are different group of university in Australia. Well, I think this one is no stranger to any one of you because this group of university is a top ranking university in Australia, which is the group of 8 university. The group of 8 university comprises Australia's leading research intensive university. The G8 is focused on and is a leader in influencing the development and delivery of long-term sustainable national higher education and research policy, and in developing elite international alliances and also research partnership. And their member includes the University of Adelaide, the Australian National University, the University of Melbourne, Monash University, University of New South Wales, University of Queensland, University of Sydney, and University of Western Australia. And next, we have the Australian Technology Network, short form is ATN. So ATN bring together 5 of the most innovative and enterprising universities in Australia. And the member including University of Technology Sydney, RMIT University, University of South Australia, Curtin University, and Deakin University. The ATN is recognized as a global leader of a new generation of university focused on industrial collaboration, real-world research, real-world impact, and produce work-ready graduates to become a global thinker in business and community. Okay, and of course, besides the university, we do have Tafe Colleges that offer a practical and hands-on courses. Here are some of the Tafe Colleges, that's available in Australia, which is Le Cordon Bleu, BHMS, Melbourne Polytechnic, Tafe New South Wales, Tafe South Australia, Tafe Western Australia, William English Institute, and many more. So for those of you who have not seen Australia campuses before, these are some of the photos I have taken when I visited the Australia campuses. So this is the University of Western Australia, and this is the iconic building. And of course, these are their modern facilities. This is Eddie Cowan University. So we have University of New South Wales and also Murdoch University. As you realize, Australia, we are very famous for our good weather. Students likes to, be outdoor. Either chit chat with their friends, or get their lunch. During the afternoon because the weather is so good. Okay, so we have University of Sydney, we also have, this is the University of Melbourne. And of course, we have RMIT University here. So after, we go through the type of university Australia have, now let's come to the fee factor. So what are the factors, that will influence a doctor tuition fee? So first of all, a group of 8 university versus other university. Let's take Bachelor of Business as an example, okay? If you're taking a Bachelor of Business or Bachelor of Commerce in Monash University, the annual tuition fee is about 45,000 Aussie dollar. Whereas if you take the same university in RMIT University, it will cost you about 35,000 Aussie dollar, okay? Of course, type of courses also will affect the tuition fee, okay? Let's take, University of Tasmania as an example. If you take a medicine course in University of Tasmania, annual tuition fee will be 75,000 Aussie dollar per annum. Whereas if you take Bachelor of Business in the same university, it will cost you about 31,000 Aussie dollar. And the next will be duration. So in Australia, most of the courses are 3 years in duration, including Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Art, Bachelor of Science, and so on. Some professional courses such as engineering, pharmacy, law, medicine, dentistry, and so on, there will be longer duration, which is 4 years, 5 years, or up to 6 years, okay? So the longer the duration, then the more tuition fee you need to prepare for your study, okay? So, of course, the pre-university, TAFE, and undergraduate, there are a different range of tuition fee as well. After we have go through the tuition fee, let's move on to the living costs. And for those of you who are not familiar, at the moment, 1 Aussie dollar is equal to about 3.2 ringgit Malaysia, all right? So let's move to cost of living, okay? As a Australia government or Australia immigration guideline, a standard living cost per year for Australia is 21,041 Aussie dollar. Of course, this living cost is a guideline whereby it will vary, from city to city. If you're going to a bigger city such as Melbourne and Sydney, then probably you will need to prepare 25 to 27,000 Aussie dollar, okay? Because generally the rental and accommodation will be much more expensive in this kind of big city. Whereas, if you're going to Brisbane, Canberra, Perth, Adelaide, and Tasmania, the recommended 21,000 Aussie dollar will be sufficient for these cities, okay? So the recommended cost of living includes your transportation, food, and lodging. And of course, for students who study in Australia, a student have to purchase an overseas student health cover. So this health cover or health insurance actually will allow you, to cover you for medical consultation in Australia. There will be a list of panel doctor available in the Igcse website. And of course, for students who intend to study in Australia, you will need to pay for your visa. At the moment, the visa application fee is 620 Aussie dollar, okay? Just now, at the beginning, actually, I mentioned about, student with a student visa able to work up to 40 hours per fortnight. And of course, during semester break, you can work full-time, okay? And at the moment, the minimum wage in Australia is actually $19.84. So basically, we do recommend students, to work part-time or work during the holiday because they can save some living costs. And of course, the experience is going to be very important when you look for a full-time job later. All right, so let's move on to education pathway to Australia. Okay, so there's a few ways basically, you can study in Australia. First of all, is after your Igcse. If you would like to go directly to Australia, yes, it's possible. Australia does offer foundation year. Each of the university, they do have their foundation study. And also, if the student want to do Australia 12 in Australia, it's possible as well. So in that case, you would do a year of foundation and another 3 years or 4 years, to a degree, depends on what other degree you are going to study, okay? Next thing is, if the student intends to go to Australia after the pre-university, yes, it's fine too. So the recognized pre-university in Malaysia that allows you to go to Australia includes A-levels, Australia 12, Canadian Pre-U, Monash University Foundation Year, International Baccalaureate, and so on. So after you complete, let's say, you would do A-level. After you complete your A-level, if you meet the academic requirement and the English requirement, then you will get a place in Australia. Okay. Last but not least, it will be credit transfer. Okay. So for example, some parents or students might think that, okay, my budget may allow me to study about 2 years in Australia. Am I able to do that? yes, you are able to do that. Because I mean, most of the Australian university actually, they do allow credit transfer. So for example, a student can study 2 or 3 semesters in Malaysia and then transfer the credit or the subject they have done in Malaysia to Australia. But of course, I mean, this credit transfer will be on case-by-case basis unless the university that you are studying in already have a credit arrangement with an Australian institution, okay? Another way of doing that is basically Malaysia. At the moment, we do have a foreign university branch campuses. So we do have Australian University Malaysia campus, such as Monash University Malaysia campus. We have Swinburne University Malaysia campus. This kind of Australia campuses, you can opt for transfer at any point of your study as well. Okay. So this is a few pathway that you can go through. But of course, I mean, if you have any question about, I mean, this study pathway, feel free to put in the chat room. Then later we will go through the question one by one. All right. So next is about application procedure. How do I apply to Australia? Okay, so the main intake for Australia is February and July. Okay, our key intake is actually February. And of course, there are some smaller institutions that have October or November intake as well. Okay, for students who are applying for professional courses such as medicine, dentistry, law, education, or health sciences, normally Australia only have February intake for this kind of professional courses, okay? And to submit an application to Australia University, the required document includes application form, application fee, if there's any, but of course, I mean, if your result meet the entry requirement, AUG, we can also assist you to get the institution to waive the application fee, okay? We also need your academic transcript, and also English language proficiency test. But not to worry, because not every university require Ielts or PT academic. There are some universities that can take Igcse English. There are some universities can waive Ielts if you are taking A-level as well. All right. And of course, for those who are applying for medicine and dentistry, there will be additional aptitude tests. For example, like ISET or UKANZ, and there will be interview as well. All right. So once you have submitted the application, the university will take about 3 to 6 weeks to process. And if you really meet all the conditions, they will issue an unconditional offer, or we call a full offer. If you have a condition such as, I mean, you have not gotten your final results, or you have pending on your English, then they will issue you a conditional offer. So the key difference between applying to UK and Australia will be, UK require reference letter and personal statement. Australia, generally, we don't require reference letter and personal statement. And for Australia, if you're applying for non-quota program, which means it's not medicine, not dentistry, not veterinary science, if you meet the entry requirement, basic entry requirement, basically you will be guaranteed an offer. All right. So next, after you have received the unconditional offer, basically, I mean, if you decided to accept the offer, you will have to proceed for acceptance. For Australia acceptance, normally you have to pay 1 semester tuition fee or a fixed amount of deposit with your overseas student health cover. Okay, after you have made the acceptance, the university will issue a confirmation of enrollment. This confirmation of enrollment is required for visa application. Okay. So when you get your COE, then we will proceed for visa application. And visa application, generally, the standard processing time is up to 6 weeks. So when after the visa is being applied or being lodged, then student will need to do a biometrics and also medical, okay? Then you will take about 6 weeks for your visa to be approved, all right? So after your visa is approved, then you can get ready to depart to Australia when the border is open, okay? So next. So of course, I mean, when the border is open, then basically, I mean, usually we can assist you on the accommodation and also travel arrangement. In Australia, there are 2 types of accommodation. Generally, you can either apply to on-campus accommodation or off-campus accommodation, like the student off-campus student accommodation. So on-campus accommodation normally is not compulsory in Australia. You have option to choose either to stay on campus or off campus. All right. So this is generally the application procedure for Australia. And now we move on to scholarship. Okay. So basically there are many scholarships available for students who are interested to study in Australia. Firstly, scholarship which offered by Australian institution or university. The amount of the scholarship ranging from 10%, 25%, 30%, 50%, or 100%. It also can be 1,000 Aussie dollar, 5,000 Aussie dollar, 10,000 Aussie dollar, and so on. Just take an example. University of Western Australia is offering an undergraduate scholarship up to 12,000 Aussie dollar a year now. Okay, so for most of the requirement of obtaining a scholarship is subject to academic merit. For example, how many A's you achieve in your A-levels or IGCSE. Okay, so besides the scholarship offered by the university, students also can look into Mncc Scholarship, which offered by Malaysian Australian Alumni Council. Okay, Mncc working with many Australian universities and offer more than 5 million ringgit of scholarship. And AUG, we are the administrator for Mncc Scholarship as well. Okay, and besides the mentioned scholarship, there are also scholarships that are offered by private organization that students can look into it. All right. So it's very important to look into a right course and right institution. So when you consider a courses or an institution, these are some of the factors you need to take into consideration. For example, number one, whether the course you choose is the strength for the university and how is the ranking of the university, because not every university are good in everything. Okay. Number two, course availability, whether the course you would like to apply is available in the university that you would like to apply to. Number three, of course, entry requirement. Does your result meet the entry requirement for this university, or does your result meet the courses requirement? Number four, professional recognition. This is very important. Let's say, if you're applying for some professional courses such as medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, law, and so on, these kind of professional courses, you need to make sure that the university you apply is actually recognized back in professional board in Malaysia. Okay, and of course, location. You have any preferred city, or do you prefer a big city or a affordable city? And next will be budget and scholarship. Which university can offer you a higher amount of scholarship? Or what is your budget that can fit into which university? All right. And next, of course, market demand versus your interests. Okay. And timing. So which intake you are going to? And last but not least, do you have any friends or family or relative in that particular city that maybe your family would like you to stay together with them? That also one of the consideration when you choose a location or choose a university. All right. So at the very beginning, actually, I have mentioned about students that study in Australia. Actually, they have an opportunity to work and live in Australia after they graduate. So one of the opportunity will be this post-study work visa. Okay. So this post-study work visa is actually a 2-year post-study work visa. Students who study in Australia for bachelor or master for 2 years and above, they will be eligible to apply for this visa, provided the rule doesn't change when you graduate. Okay, and for the latest announcement, for students who go into a regional city such as Adelaide, Perth, Canberra, Gold Coast, and so on, this kind of regional city student will get an additional year of post-study work visa as well. So it's going to be a 2+1 if you're going to a regional city. Okay, so this is one of the advantage of you studying in Australia. So next, I will bring you one of the video of an AUG alumni that study in Queensland University of Technology. Let's see what he has to say about studying in Australia.
Nama saya Ian, saya dari Malaysia. Saya mengambil kursus Civil Engineering kat QUT. Saya memilih QUT kerana gaya pengajarannya menyerupai dunia sebenar. The weather here is pretty much similar to back home in Malaysia, but it's not that humid, so you don't really get sweaty and sticky much. And also, the winter here is not as cold compared to other states in Australia. So if you're not a fan of the cold, Brisbane's the place to be. You still get what the city has to offer pretty much, and it helps you to get a balanced lifestyle while studying. Brisbane has a very chill and laid-back lifestyle, and it's great studying here. In QUT, we learn the latest technology and content in the industry. So for example, in civil engineering, which is the course that I'm doing right now, we learn the latest design coaster, which is released early this year. You find that the teaching style here is much more practical. Most of my teaching academics from the later years are actual engineers in the industry. And our assignments that we are given is pretty much real world as well. And it's been a really great learning experience. If you're looking for a job experience after graduation just like me, QUT is the right choice for you. On top of your studies, QUT provides you with a range of opportunities for you to develop your employability skills. So we have a range of leadership programs which helps you develop your soft skills. We have mentorship program which connects you to an outside industry professional in your field of study, and we also have a range of clubs and societies for you to get involved with. Recently, I just got a chance to be a part of the organizing team of a networking event by the Civil Engineering Student Society, which is one of the clubs in QUT. And through the networking event, I actually managed to secure a role in an engineering firm till 2020. And that's really amazing. If you're looking for a real-world university, search for QUT.
Okay, so let's continue with our presentation. Just one moment. Okay, this is something that is a hot topic right now, and a lot of students and parents would like to know. How is the situation in Australia right now, and what happened during this pandemic? Okay, and what is the arrangement for study? Okay, so these are some questions that we always get from parents and students. For example, can I still study in Australia under this climate? Yes, you still can study in Australia under this climate, but of course, at the moment, Australia border is still closed. So basically, it will be an online delivery, okay? And how is the situation in Australia now? So in the past 24 hours, there's only one local acquired case and 9 overseas acquired cases in Australia, okay? When can I travel to Australia? So you only can travel to Australia after the border is open. At the moment, for non-Australian or non-permanent residents, students are unable to travel to Australia. So how the classes will be conducted, it will be online delivery. And how can I get more information about the university arrangement during this climate? So all university actually has a dedicated COVID-19 updates website, and they will update time to time. So any updates actually they will put under their university website as well. Okay, so unfortunately, I mean, for Australia border at the moment is closed, but actually since last July, we do have students that really started online classes, and the feedback is quite good because online classes in Australia is not something they just started the facilities or they just started it, I mean, due to pandemic. I mean, Australian University, basically, they have this facility for a long time. There has been delivery, distance learning, or some online classes, I mean, or recorded lectures back then. So, I mean, for pandemic, basically, they're just, they have all this facility in place. What they do is they just have to utilize this for all the students, okay? So for student, what happened to the student in onshore now? So for students in onshore now, actually, they are doing blended learning. For some major lectures, basically, it will be still conducted online, but some tutorial classes, basically, they'll be face-to-face, okay? And due to this climate, actually, there are a lot of universities that are offering a COVID-19 support, or we say either an extra scholarship or tuition fee reduction, okay? So we have this, we have put this in our website. Basically, I mean, there are many universities offer up to, for example, 25% tuition fee reduction for any subject, I mean, student done in Malaysia. There are also 12.5% says, I mean, the University of Queensland, I mean, for any courses done in Malaysia. So a lot of universities have taken this initiative, I mean, to give support to international students who are unable to travel to Australia. So there'll be a long list of it. These are some of the examples you can have a look. And for more details, actually, you can refer to our AUG website as well. All right. So last but not least, AUG Student Services. So we are the education placement agent that provide one-stop services to students in assistance in applying to a university, process the application, basically, I mean, get offer letter, assistance with acceptance, assistance with visa application, accommodation arrangement, airport pickup, and so on. And all our services are free, okay? We have 11 offices in 12 locations at the moment, and we are established in 1995, okay? We have placed more than 40,000 students in Malaysia or overseas since we are established, all right? So who do we represent? So we represent many countries. Priority will be Australia and UK. We have Singapore, Malaysia, Ireland, Switzerland, and some of the institutions in the States as well. And this is what we do, okay? We provide personalized counseling. For example, I mean, if you have an intent courses you want to go to, or you have a preferred university you want to go to, and you are unsure what is the entry requirement, or you're unsure which university you can get to with your result, feel free to come to see us. Any one of us, we will be able to give you a professional advice, I mean, and giving you options, I mean, that you can consider, all right? We also do the assessment on academic results, and also giving you the right advice. We also assist on the admission process. We are the liaison person between student and institution. We also assist students to register for English language examination, such as Ielts academic or PT academic. We also provide visa assistance and application. We are the test, Aug Student Services, we are the test center for PT academic as well. And as mentioned just now, we are able to assist you with accommodation and travel arrangement, as well as airport pickup. And before you depart, actually, we will have an informative pre-departure briefing. Okay. So this is our contact detail. We do have an office in Nilai, which is very close to KTJ. So you may follow us on, this is our email, nilai@augstudy.com. And you may WhatsApp us as well. Our number is listed here, 012-9699-054. And please follow our social media, Instagram as well as Facebook, because I mean, if there's any upcoming talks from the institution, or there is any scholarship from the institution, or info session from the institution, we will be publishing on the website as well. All right. So I think that concludes my presentation today. Hi, Emma. So shall we go through some of the questions from the student?
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Okay. Do you want to maybe just close your slides?
Yep, sure.
Down? That'd be cool.
Yep.
All right. So, guys, we're going to share this video so that it will be on our YouTube channel in case you want to go back and double check anything. So we've got some questions in. So Sheikh Ayman has an excellent one. It's the one I asked you before we started, actually. And we're asking you to sort of crystal ball a little bit. So there's obviously a caveat with that.
Yep.
He wants to know, when do you think the borders will open?
At the moment, to be honest, there's no official announcement from the government yet. What we can see, the positive news from Australia's side is just recent few days, I mean, the New South Wales government has actually proposed to bring back international students as early as July by their piloting program. So they are intent to bring back 500 students each batch back to Australia. But of course, I mean, at the moment, it's still waiting for the federal government to approve. All right. So we hope by early next year, there'll be there'll be more positive news. But at the moment, there isn't any official announcement. Yeah.
Okay, right. But hopefully moving in the right direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, they've had some experience for a while in doing online learning, so it's a little
bit.
Yeah. So Ahmad Nizar Yaqub has a question. When is the right time to apply? Because the A-level results this year are due out on the 10th of August. So what is the right time to apply and the right intake that people should go for? Okay.
So basically, Australia have, as I mentioned, there is February and July intake. For students who will receive their result in August 2021, there are two options. Option number one is basically you can apply to a February 2022 intake with your final results. Okay. Option number two is if you want to start early in July 2021, there are quite a number of Australian institutions are able to accept your forecast A-level result to go into July 2021. But of course, I mean, when is the earliest you can apply? When you have your AS result, you can apply already, because the university will be able to give you a conditional offer condition on your final results.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, the one thing about the July is that I would just generally caution that the exhaustion that you have maybe at the end of A-level. So it's quite good to have a bit of a break if you've been doing exams up till June. So when you say July, is that the start of July?
Normally it's end of July or beginning of August.
Okay, so that does give I would highly recommend a bit of a breathing space after A-level. You jump straight into your degree, but there sounds to be a bit of a recovery period there. So Mr. Disney, who is one of our deputy heads of the sixth form, he wants to know, I mean, you mentioned when you are there, you can work 40 hours over a fortnight, and you can also work during the holidays, and there are different periods. of length of time to work when you graduated. Once you reach the end of that period, how easy is it to stay in Australia?
It quite depends on the rules during when you graduate. It depends. I mean, for students who intend to apply for such, for example, skill migration, it quite depends on what are the occupation are listed on the skill occupation list during when they graduate. Yeah, and of course, I mean, they also have to meet other points requirement. If they have meet the points requirement, then the chances are there. But it does not guarantee, because I mean, this skill occupation list changes every year. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So keep in touch with a visa expert like yourself, so they know you got the changes out. So Clarissa would like to know, are we, for students studying abroad, are we applicable to use AUG services?
Yeah, I mean, our services are free. Feel free to contact any one of us. I mean, for any advice or application or visa assistance. Yeah.
Okay. Claire has a specific question about medicine and dentistry.
Yep.
How and where do we get the application forms to apply for medicine?
We can send to you. So probably you can lift out your email address or your contact details. Or alternatively, you have our website, WhatsApp number just now, 012-9699-054. You can WhatsApp us, and my colleague will send to you straight away.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll share the link to this video when it goes on YouTube, guys. I will email you all,
yep.
and I will put Nicole's contact details on there as
sure.
well. So just give us about 24 hours, 48 hours to download the video for YouTube. So Tash has a question. Is it possible to apply with forecast results and follow up with the actual Igcse grades? So not the AS and the A-levels, but Igcse.
Okay, if you're using your Igcse, it depends whether you're applying for a foundation study in Australia. If your intention is to apply for a foundation study, a forecast result would be sufficient for application. Yeah.
Okay, great stuff. So Adinda has a question. What is the general Australian application process like? Is there anything like how you would apply for schools in the UK through UCAS?
Yeah. The major difference is Australia, we don't require reference letter or personal statement. So generally, if you're applying for non-quota program, if your A-level result meet the entry requirement, you will be getting the offer letter. Yeah. So basically, I mean, to apply for Australia University, what we need is just your AS and A2 results. If you do not have A2, your AS result. And depends on the university you're applying, you may need your Ielts. Yeah. For example, University of Melbourne and University of New South Wales. If you did not take any English subject or any social science subject in your A-level, then you will need Ielts. But I mean, places like Monash, then they can look into your IGCSE results, IGCSE English. Yeah.
So roughly for those universities, what kind of Ielts bands are you looking at?
If you're looking at if you're applying for non-quota program, normally 6.5 with no band lower than 6.
Okay, right, guys, that should be doable for you lot. Yeah,
yeah.
Quite
but of course, I mean, you can check with us first before you see for Ielts, because there are many universities actually that don't require Ielts. But if you're applying for Uni Melbourne or you still New South Wales, then most likely you will need to see for it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, good question. So you've applied with your predicted grades, with your forecast results, and you didn't get in. Can you apply a second time using the actual results, particularly if the actual results meet the requirement of that university?
You can, but of course, I mean, if you're applying for next year February intake with your predicted grade, normally a university only will give you a conditional offer. Yeah, eventually you still have to submit your official final A2 result in order to convert it to a full offer. Yeah.
Okay. So if they reject you the first time for whatever reason, and you suppose your results are better than you expected, can you apply a second time?
Yes, you can. If your final meet the entry requirement, you will get an offer as well.
So that's a big difference between the two, really. This idea that if you meet the requirement, you're in, right? I mean, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, not for medicine, dentistry, wet science, not for this quota program, but if for non-quota program, generally, if you meet the requirement, you're going to get an offer. Yeah. But of course, Australia, we don't have borderline. If you miss it, means you miss it. You won't get an offer. There's no appeal. Yeah.
And do they take into account sort of extenuating circumstances, or is it just your grades?
Just your grades.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's very transparent in that sense, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's have a question from Irina. She wants to know, what are the external tests required for those wanting to study medicine in Australia, and does it vary between the different universities?
Yes, it's actually the very key difference between the UK medicine and Australia medicine. UK standard UCAS, 15th of October the year before, you have to apply through UCAS. And for Australia, each of the university have their own application system, okay? And each of them have their own application deadline. So the earliest it will be like, if, for example, if you're applying for 2022 February intake, the earliest deadline will be 30th of June, which is, for example, Yusuf Adelaide. I mean, the deadline is really, is the end of this month, and you have to register for UK ANZ last month. End of last month, that is the deadline, okay? There are universities that are like James Cook University, their deadline is 30th of August. There are, for University of New South Wales, the deadline is 30th of October. So each of the university, they have a different deadline, and the aptitude test they accept is different too. Yeah, for example, like, I mean, if you're going to Monash or you're going to Monash, then they require ISAT. If you're going to Uni Adelaide, then they require UK and ZAC. And if you're applying to, say, I mean, University of Newcastle, they have their own PQA. Yeah, so I mean, this is slightly different and slightly more complicated compared to the UK system. But the advantage of Australia is, in UK you can apply to 4. That's it. Australia, you can apply everyone, then to see, and see whether you get a chance for anyone, get an interview from any of the university.
Good timing. That was Chloe's question. How many universities can you apply to at any one time?
If for quota program in medicine, we will suggest students to apply at least 5. But of course, I mean, for other non-quota program, basically, I mean, you just have to shortlist 3 to 5. Because in Australia, as I've mentioned, if you meet the requirement, you're definitely going to get an offer. So if you apply for business and engineering, I mean, you don't have to apply many, because if you eventually meet the requirement, you're definitely going to get the offer for non-quota program. Yeah.
So for the non-quota program, why would you apply to 3 to 5 if you've got your A-level results and you know you've made it?
Some students still have consideration on which unit. For example, student result is really good. They are considered like which university able to give them better scholarship, or they are still comparing between going to Sydney or going to Melbourne, this kind of thing. Yeah, but generally our students, if they apply when they get their final result, normally they will apply less than 3. Yeah. For those who apply before they got their final, they may apply about 3 to 5. Yeah.
Okay. And is that one application or one that's sent to all of them, or do you have to fill in a different application form for different units?
Most of the application is online application now. We do have an AUG form for them to fill up. They can apply up to 3 institutions from that form. But of course, I mean, if you require more, then we will go through a counseling and see what is the requirement and everything. Then we'll get them to shortlist. Yeah.
Okay, so it's quite a simple process in that sense.
Yeah, it's very simple. Yeah.
Does AUG help with the admissions test you were just talking about for the medics?
We don't help with admission tests. Basically, student will need to register online. We were able to give you the link because we do not have any at the moment. We do work with a Singapore company whereby they provide preparation for ISAT or UCAT, but we personally, we don't run any workshop and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, but you have a contact that can help.
Yeah, we have a contact. Yeah, we have worked with a Singapore company that run that. Yeah.
Okay, and where do they sit those exams then? Do they sit them in your examination center?
No, they have to sit in a test center, dedicated test center for that, for the ISAT or UKNZ. Yeah.
All right. And I guess somewhere on your website you've got the deadlines for all of those applying for those tests.
There will be, because there will be different deadline for individual university. So basically, I mean, they can look for us and we are able to guide them according to university they want to apply. Yeah, there'll be a long list, basically.
Okay. And that was the last question, because Natasha's question about the Ielts was already answered. So I believe the answer was 6.5 and nothing less than 6.
Yeah.
So, Natasha, if you need help with the IELTS, I'm the IELTS teacher. So come hunt me down if you need help doing that. I think that's it. Any last questions, guys?
I think I have a list of private a question
Oh,
here.
no, wait, go. There's more, one more. Wait.
Yeah.
I can move my thingy. Wait. I took the wall off. Okay, so Lucas would like to know, does your organization assist with domestic student applications?
Unfortunately, we don't because I mean we are dealing with international admission. So domestic, that you will have to apply through an application system like VTech, UX, and so on. Yeah. But if you have any question if you meet any difficulty when you're doing this application, you can ask us as well. Yeah.
Okay. So follow-up question from Lucas: do third-party scholarships allow you to specify university of choice, or does it get assigned?
It quite depends like who are the third-party scholarship you're applying to. Because normally, for example, like if you're applying for some bank scholarship, they have some dedicated, they have a list of recognized university and also courses you need to go to. Yeah. So it quite depends on which is the company or which organization scholarship you're applying to.
Okay. Shun Hao Lin would like to know, are ECAs important? Is there anything outside of the classroom that's part of the application?
Unfortunately, no. For Australia, we only purely looking into your academic results. If you're talking about medicine, dentistry, veterinary science, yes. If you have any experience, for example, internship or volunteering in some sort of clinic and so on, yes, it's going to help you. Especially like if you're applying for veterinary science. Animal handling experience is compulsory from some university like Murdoch University and also UC Sydney. Then there is some compulsory component you will need to do in order to support your application. But if you're talking about non-quota program, basically Australia University only looking into your academic results. Yeah.
Okay, but you should still be doing ECAs, guys. Don't stop it. One of the reasons why you should be doing them. So Tash has a kind of similar related question. He's saying, so let's suppose that they're accepted into a university with their achieved results. Do they have to do any kind of entry test?
No, they don't. If you get a full offer, you don't have to do any entry tests. Yeah.
Okay, so it's relatively simple. Adinda is thinking about law, and she says, what are the other requirements needed to apply for law? For example, in the UK, you've got LNAT.
No, we don't have. But you have to meet the entry requirement. Law in Australia, the entry requirement is quite high for many universities. Yeah, but as long as you meet the entry requirement, you will be able to get an offer.
And so what is that entry requirement for
okay, they're quite varied, depends on university. What in my mind now is if you're applying, okay, there are a list of universities, there are a long list of universities that are recognized in Malaysia. For example, like Monash. If I'm not mistaken, Monash and UQ are 13 points. If you're looking at A-level, so if you get an ABB, you're going to get an offer. But if you're going to ANU, you are going to UC Sydney and University of New South Wales, then they will maybe need 3 A's or 4 A's. Yeah. The moderate one, I think 13 points, if you'll be able to get into either Monash or UC Queensland. Yeah.
Okay. So A's, not A stars. A's.
A1, A2, B, you will get into Monash or UC Queensland. Yeah. Okay. But if you're going to other universities such as ANU or UC Sydney and UC New South Wales, then they have higher entry requirement.
Okay. Are all degrees dual degrees where you sort of have to do something else?
No, except for New South Wales. Huh. New South Wales, everything is a double degree in law. Yeah. But if you're going to Victoria, like Monash, it's going to be a 4 years Bachelor of Law. If you're going to Queensland, it's going to be 4 years Bachelor of Law as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mr. Disney would like to know, what is the approximate international breakdown of students in Australia compared to the local students?
Okay, if you're looking at university-wide, normally it's going to be about 70% is local and 30% is international. But sometimes, certain courses will be flooded with certain nationality. For example, if you're going to a business course, it's going to be a lot of Asian. But of course, a lot of Asian, it doesn't mean everyone is an international student. There will be Asian who are Australian, yeah, as well. But if you're going to sciences or arts, then there will be a wild mix of locals and also the international student. So if you're asking about university-wide, I would say 70-30. Yeah, 70% will be local and 30% will be international. But certain courses, you will see different phases. Yeah. Yeah.
And who is Australian and who's local, and that's all merged in the way it is.
Yeah, in a way, you may not able to differentiate sometimes. Yeah.
For sure. And of the international students, and you mentioned Asian, what sort of which countries have a lot of those international students coming from?
It quite well mixed though. There will be, of course, I mean, there will be China, there will be Hong Kong, there will be Singaporean, there will be Indian, there will be Korean, there will be, I mean, they are all from all different places of the world. If you're going to a certain state also, when it comes to different state, there will be different kind of nationality as well. For example, if you're going to Brisbane, then there will be a lot of Western European as well. A lot of European that like to go to Brisbane because it's a sunshine city. Yeah, when you go to Melbourne and Sydney, because it's a big city, you may see more Asian, especially, I mean, those campuses in the city. Yeah.
Okay. And are there some universities that are more international than others? And some are predominantly?
Not exactly, because I think they will have a cap for how many international students they can, how many % of international students they can be in, if I'm not wrong. But of course, I mean, as I mentioned, I mean, it quite depends on courses. Certain courses you will expect to see more Asian. Yeah.
Okay. So all the universities have international caps?
If I'm not mistaken, yes. Yeah.
Okay. But those caps will vary?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, when we attend training, most of the institutions that will tell us you'll be about 70% local and 30% international. Yeah, but of course, the same thing, different faculty that will have different range. Yeah.
So if someone's got, well, it doesn't matter because once you make the grades, you're in, right? So in that sense, so the international fees are different from the local fees.
Yes. Yeah. So Australia fee basically will. For international student fee, basically, I mean, it will have a 3 to 7% increment every year. Most of the university, yeah.
All right. Any final questions? I can't see any when I'm scrolling down. I think we've answered them all. Okay, some great questions. Very helpful, and I hope it opens up, and because that video, it just looks stunning. I mean, especially tortuous with everybody being in lockdown. It just looks a really beautiful place to live and to study. So I hope people get there. Oh, Tash has a quick question. In terms of finance, is it possible to get tuition fees reduction if your parents are retired, or financial reduction based on how many A's you've got?
Normally, it will be only scholarship, I would say, because I mean, the support and also student loan is normally only for domestic. Yeah, but for international student, if a result is good, basically there will be scholarship available. Yeah, based on how many A's you get. Yeah.
Okay, which is rather like Hong Kong, so it's rather transparent, right?
Yeah.
Just work hard, Tash, and then...
Yes, because all our scholarship are all academic merit.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, so if there are, one more. I know that's a question from Mr. Disney about somebody else. Okay, I'll talk to you about that question. Okay. So that's the reason why we have private chat on the comments. Okay, he's checking up on one of our old students, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I will share this video with you via email, guys. Please do share it with your parents as well. And then I'll also share Nicole's contact details. Any questions about choice of universities, funding, courses that you should be doing, your visas in particular, how you go about that, and the tests that we talked about, please do get in touch with AUG. We partner with them because they know what they're doing in this field. So they're much better placed to answer some of these very technical questions, and also situations that are changing as well, right? You know, you've got to keep on top of monitoring things with COVID all the time. So it's good to have a partner that keeps up to date with all of this. All right. Thank you very much for spending your evening with us, Nicole, and sharing your expertise.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope to meet you in the near future, hopefully face to face.
That's great. Okay. Thank you. Night, guys.
Thank you. Good night.